Good morning, everyone. Dear colleagues, I would like to present some preliminary lines on the concept of the network school in the secondary cycle in the context of Argentina. Contemporary education remains anchored in an industrial paradigm standardized at the time confined and built around the unidirectional transmission of knowledge. This model is not merely outdated, it is epistemologically incompatible with the hyper-connected, digital, and complex society that students actually inhabit. These concepts about the radical concept, alternative, the network school unveils its theoretical foundation through three interlocking frameworks: the pedagogy of connection, critical Latin American pedagogy, and media ecology. The central metaphor of this presentation is the contrast between fortress school and the network school. The fortress school is self-sufficient, isolated, and epistemologically closed. It conceives knowledge as a stable deposit to be transmitted linearly from teacher to students. I think that trace this critique to Paulo Freire's 1917 concept of banking education, in which learners are reduced to passive recipients. They in their ontological condition as being of praxis. Henry Giroux extends this analysis by showing how school functions as apparatus of cultural and ideological reproduction, legitimizing dominant cause while silence subaltern voice. Again, the network school repositioned the school as a dynamic mode within broader social cultural network, operating simultaneously as an interface mediated between academic knowledge and lived experience, the analog and the digital, and as an intertext, a fabric of meaning woven from the conversion of multiple sources, many students' production, community knowledge, and digital platforms. I think that creativity is not a supplementary subject, but it's the oxygen at true learning. The adolescent brain's neuroscience confirms is priming for divergent thinking, a capacity that standardized education systematically extinguishes. True transformation, I insist, requires more than adding a creative thinking class to the timetable. It demands a metamorphosis of school cultural across four dimensions: collaborative inquiry, interdisciplinary projects, evaluation as dialogue, and classroom porous enough to open onto real community problems. I have identified a deep convergence between the critical tradition of Freire and Giroux and his own ecosystem pedagogy. Freire dialogue, horizontal, humble, and political community is upside and expanding into we can call the pedagogy of connection, where Freire focused on face-to-face dialogue in culture cycles. The network school extend that dialogue into distributed multimodal, technologically mediated networks. The teacher's role is corresponding transformers, no longer a transmitter of content, but an architect of interface, designing learning experience that connect curriculum to territory, and a curator of conversation, selecting the text, problems, and voice that enter into productive dialogue. Now, on Carlos Scolari, media and ecology frameworks, we can argue that students simultaneously inhabits two largely incommensurable cognitive ecosystems: the formal school ecosystem with its sequential curriculum and standardized evaluation, and the media digital ecosystem characterized by non-linear hypertext, semiotic, multimodality, and collaborative meanings making. The school that refuses to acknowledge these fractures condemns itself to cultural irrelevance. The network school, by contrast, positions itself as a critical interface, not surrounded to the logic of immediacy and commodification that govern digital platform, but equipping students with expand critical literacy, the capacity to decode ideological content, detect algorithms, bias, and produce knowledge collaboratively rather than merely consume it. Toward cognitive democracy, the pedagogy of connection is not merely a methodological innovation, it carries epistemological and ethical implications. Knowledge is distributed, not possessed. Learning is situate, not abstract. Intelligence is collective, not individual. True inclusion is redefined as meaningful participation in networks of conversation and creation. In a world fragmented by algorithms, bubbles and post-truths, the school of connection and conversation become the space where students practice the art of building futures together, and not in the wider network of collective force to inhabit the world more justly, wisely, and humanly. This is the end. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.